Wow. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to be here tonight for Arts Connect Tuesday. And tonight we're going behind the mural, and we've got three folks who are going to guide us in a conversation. Our muralist in residence, John Mural, is going to kind of host the conversation, and we've got Katrina Legans and Brandon Underwood, our muralist with the Washington Park Pool House mural, which is one of our most recent murals. We'll let some more folks into the waiting room. And there, okay. And before we do it, I like to kind of go around the room and just do quick introductions. And you can tell us your name and then what you're creating right now, because I want to know. Okay, we'll start with in the room, and then we'll go to the screen.
Sure. I'm Rachel Ann Morris. I am working on some kind of non-creative cabinet painting right now to pay for the creative projects. And I also just got a banjo, so that's my newest creative endeavor that I'm very excited about. I don't know anything about music. I'm very bad at it so far, but it's very early, so I'm excited to, with all of my spare time, to learn a new hobby.
I'm intrigued that the banjo is your first instrument.
I've been wanting one for a few years, but yeah.
All right. I bet somebody in here is a virtuoso banjo player. We're going to find out as we go around the room.
Do a skill trade for some lessons.
Yeah.
I'm Karen Pennebecker. I'm not a banjo player or builder. And I'm working on my first human scrap metal sculptures. I've never built anyone humans larger than life. So
Excellent. Great. I can't wait to see.
I can't either.
I'm James Pennebecker, and I've been working on collages made out of used postage stamps.
I'm Corey Greer, and I work on the newsletter and do the illustration. And I'm installing new frets on a friend's guitar right now.
All right. That's close to a banjo.
Yeah.
I'm Jane Gabrielle, and I'm working in Gainsborough right now to bring some celebration to the library and to that area for Kwanzaa, and helping with Jasmine Bean's installation of her Kwanzaa banners.
Terrific. Okay. And then online, we'll start with, let's start with Katie Slusher.
Hello. Sorry, I'm on my phone, so it's a little weird. I missed what the question we're answering is.
Oh, what are you creating right now?
What am I creating right now? Oh my gosh. And in River Park.
Yeah. Excellent. That's a big collaborative project that the whole community is looking forward to seeing completed.
Yeah, it's an exciting one.
All right. Molly.
Hey, I'm Molly Kernan. Right now, I just finished up jazzing up our I Heart Southeast Christmas Parade float. So it'll be a little different this year. Just added on to what we had. So look out for that. That's on the 12th.
All right. And then it looks like maybe we lost Jessica. But she might pop back.
If you can hear me.
Oh, there you are. Okay, Jessica, what are you creating?
I just started playing around with watercolors. It's something I've never done before. So venturing into that medium.
Great. What's your first subject? Are you doing abstract or landscapes, or what's your subject?
Well, I can't draw very well, so it's just kind of working on just the colors on a page at this point.
All right. Yeah, experiment and figuring out what it can do.
Pretty much.
Right.
Then I'll figure it out after that.
All right. Robin Mitchell, the question of the night is, what are you creating right now? She may not quite connected yet. Oh,
She said chaos.
chaos. Excellent, excellent. All right, and then let's see, Daniela, I don't know if you're able to turn your camera on or not. I hear there's a new arrival.
Yes, there is. I'll
Cool.
I'll show you guys the baby. I'm not really presentable right now, but one second. Hold on one second. Oh,
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
and tell us what that young critter's name is.
Her name is Arabella.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're so
Oh,
happy for you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so we know what you're creating.
Yes, I was gonna say this is
You're
what I'm
creating life.
creating.
Yeah.
She
Literally his
wins.
life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks, Arabella. Yeah. All right, and then Pop. I don't know if Pop-Pop's going to
I think
answer.
that's my dad.
Oh, great. Well, and you don't have to answer, but you're welcome to join in if you want to. And let's see, who else here? We're going to wrap up with Brandon. Congratulations, Brandon. But we can't, let's see, say something.
He's talking, on the phone, can't hear.
Yeah, we're not getting you. We're gonna have to get that fixed. You're one of the stars of the show. Let's see. You're on mute now. Now you're off. We'll let you take a little bit of time to work on that. John, what are you creating?
Well, right now I am starting my designs for 2026. So I'm entering my design part of the year where my fingers aren't out in the cold going numb. So it's it's nice to spend a little time kind of creatively designing right now. So that's where I'm at.
All right. And then see, JM, that's not you on another. Is JM somebody else? Oh, that's Jessica. She got home on her computer, I guess. That makes okay. Now I'm tracking things. Let's see. And Brandon, you want to try again?
I'm gonna help him really quickly.
Okay.
Just one second.
A baby in one arm and technical assistance with the other arm.
She wins.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I guess we could.
So,
Did Katrina go?
Katrina, what are you creating?
I am currently creating just a healthy environment for myself. I am currently on a cleanse, so I've just been fruits and vegetables. Um, so I feel like this season is just a recovery season and getting back into the flow. I want to be where John is, where I should be creating right now, to prepare for next year. But right now, my focus is just kind of cleaning up my diet and my habits and getting focused and getting sharp.
Who knows what that'll do with your creativity there in your noggin with that
Right.
yeah, to change and everything. We all need that
Yeah.
that kickstart once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Brandon, you want to try it again?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
All right. What are you creating?
Um, Children.
Yeah.
And as far as art is concerned, I'm in my sketchbook and just coming up with new ideas.
Oh, great. Well, thanks everybody for those introductions. I'm gonna turn it over to John to kind of kick us off, and I think John's going to be able to share the video that you sent, Brandon. And we'll start us off with that.
All right. So can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm going to share this really cool video here in a second. Doug, I think maybe should I just dive into a little bit about some of the projects we have done prior to this?
Yeah, give us a little context. That's great.
I think it might be wise to give us a little context in terms of like where this project came from, and then we'll look at a few awesome visuals in this video I just saw like a day ago, and I was like, where did this come from? Because it's some great shots of the project. And then we'll talk about the artists and celebrate them, because a lot of this is, celebrating their efforts. It was a long road where I think everybody learned a lot, but they came up with a really, really nice project, and I'm really incredibly proud of them and to have worked with them. So I'm a muralist in residence with Roanoke City. This is my third year, something like that. Starting out, we always wanted to explore the idea of how I could support other muralists. A few of which are on this call or in the room. Hey, Rachel Ann.
Hey.
So yeah, a year or two ago, we had a kind of some of our first murals, our neighborhood murals that I was blessed enough to be a part of, where I helped pair local artists with local walls. So Rachel Ann is a great example of that. Rachel Ann painted over at West End Center, and had a phenomenal project over there. Also had another project later that year with Bryce Cobbs and CJ Stallings over at the Gainsborough YMCA. And then we did another partnership at Lab Sports over in Southeast Roanoke, where we brought some a really cool collaborative effort of mosaic and mural together. And so, throughout this process, it's been a few years. I've supported a few other projects as well. It's been an amazing learning curve for me to kind of understand the craziness of the city and how that moves from a perspective, not so much as an artist, but as a support system. And so we were approached by Katie and Washington Park with the idea of bringing some artwork to their beautiful space at the new pool building, or the pool house, to complement all the incredible work they've already done. And so a lot of, my role with the city is helping find the right artists. And for this particular project, I immediately thought about Katrina. We'll talk a little bit more about Katrina's impact she's had on Northwest, some of the previous projects she's been a part of. Katrina has played a big part in some of the public art in our area. And then Brandon is a mural newbie. And I think Brandon will have a really amazing perspective on this project as somebody that hasn't painted murals before and what that looked like for him. And so pairing the two of them together, all learning together, we've always approached this project and all the projects from a stance of, we're all in this to learn. That's what each of these residencies is about. We're here to explore things, learn together. And so to work alongside artists, like Rachel Ann or Brandon or Katrina has been amazing. And then to see other artists support that, I see other artists, in this room or on the call, here that have supported these projects. I've seen them in tons of photos that are out there painting and helping and assisting and volunteering. And that's amazing to see. So that's the goal, is bringing people together through the arts and showing some love to our city. And so, if there's any questions, I will say, towards the end, I think just to make it a little bit more efficient, anybody can ask questions to me, Brandon, or Katrina at the very end of the project or the presentation. And I think that'll help us kind of make this more efficient. But yeah, without further ado, let me pull up my screen and tell me if this does not work. Okay. All right. Can you guys see the screen now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, let me pull up. Here we go. All right. So perfect. Here we go. So Brandon and Katrina, here they are. Here's the amazing pool that we had the opportunity to complement, and we can come back to some of these images in a little bit. Katie, I would say whenever Katie wants to chime in as well, maybe right after the video, that would be great just to get a broader scope of their efforts in this and maybe a broader scope of, Washington Park and the entire project. Because it's a huge project for our area, not just Northwest, but for everybody. And I look at this, it's just like, wow, this is actually in Roanoke, which is really cool to see. But this is the video. I'm going to share my sounds. Hopefully this pops up as well. I think this is only about 45 seconds. This will give you an idea of how this kind of started, and then we'll chat afterwards. Here you go. It's always cool when you get to see like drone shots. I love that. So yeah, we got to explore this project. I even saw Jane, I think, in that video too, helping out. So shout out to Jane. But yeah, this I think was a great learning curve for everybody, but also a great addition to the overall scope of what Washington Park brings to the community. So, Katie, I don't know if you want to touch on, how you all approach this or how that
Yeah, sure. I can give a
broader.
little
Yeah, go ahead.
quick rundown. So yeah, this project has been a really long time coming. Our director Cindy jokes, which it's not really a joke, that she started 20 some years ago managing pools and kind of has worked her way all the way up, and pretty much the entire time people have been telling her that we're going to get a new pool at Washington Park, and so it's finally happened. Definitely a long journey to get there. It was slated in the capital plan around the Great Recession, and then kind of funding got pulled, and so yeah, we were thrilled to finally get this project done because it's been discussed for so long and it's been a need for so long. And really, the feedback that we heard through the process, was a different style pool, right? That had more of these family style leisure kind of features and the splash features and the bigger slide and all of that. And um, so we really tried to prioritize packing as much of those types of features into the pool as possible, and are really excited that we were able to, get the amount of features that we were able to, and kind of the footprint that we had to work with. But because we, tried to put as much of the budget as we could into those pool features, the building was pretty basic, right? It's got uh cinder block walls and that kind of thing, right? So I really was excited to work with Doug and the team of artists to get this big mural done, because it really, um as much as the pool was kind of has all these standout features and is so unique, the building really needed some personality to it, in my opinion. So I this is a great way to bring uh the community's, kind of personality and the public's involvement into the project through the planning and installation of that art piece. So a lot of fun for us to see that as kind of the finishing touch on the whole project.
Great. And yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head too. You know, so much of this revolved around the community's input. There was a lot of planning leading up to this long process. And so, you know, we'll get into that with the artists as well in a bit. But Katie, I just want to personally just thank you for opening this opportunity up to our local artists. I think that was really special. You brought in people from, you know, Northwest, from the community to do this rather than searching elsewhere. So thank you for that. Okay. All right. So Doug, do you want to chime in on any of this before we get into the Q&A with the artists?
No, I think that was a great summary. We roll on through.
Okay, awesome. So each of these projects, and I probably should have touched on this prior to anything, center around one thing, and that's community first. And so Katrina's has had experience with that. So let's go ahead, and I'd like to just quickly introduce you all to Katrina right now. I'm going to go ahead and take my screen share off real quick. Sorry if you hear my kids in the background. Okay. Katrina, you there?
I'm here.
All right, cool. This is Katrina Legans. Katrina, if you want to speak a little bit about your experience and the project, we'll get into our Q&A after we talk to you and Brandon.
Okay. Yep. So my very first, I'm Katrina Legans. I am originally from Roanoke, Virginia, born and raised in Northwest. My experience has been, my first experience here was the End Racism Now mural, which was downtown back in 2020. So I started there and slowly, kind of climbed the ladder with that. And from that point, I had a mural with Blue Ridge Behavioral Healthcare Center, which I reached out to John to help me with that because that was my very first mural project. So he helped me out with that. And that was my start. So then from there, started doing another mural. In September of last year. So it grew from there on the Greenway murals, which was another opportunity that helped, get me on this path. So now up until this point, the Washington Park mural. And also, yeah, Katie actually helped with that project on the Greenway. So yeah, and very grateful for this one as well, presenting this opportunity to us. So yeah, that's a bit about me.
Awesome. Brandon, you want to chime in a little bit on yourself and your background as an artist?
How's it going? I'm Brandon Underwood. I have a background in graphic design, so this is my first mural. I'm originally from Long Island, New York, born and raised in Hempstead. I've been out here in Roanoke for a couple of years, so I'm really excited I to be a part of the community and to continue my journey as a more muralist, fine artist, and yeah. So this is my first mural, as John has said before, and it's a completely new experience for me. A lot of learning, but I'm happy that the education that I had in the past was able to help me to contribute to the project in the way that I did.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandon. So let me just go ahead and throw this question out to start. Well, I don't know if we'll touch on every question I sent you guys earlier, but we'll touch on a few of the main ones. So in terms of the planning process, Brandon, I know with your background in graphic design, you were heavily involved in that. What was it like in the planning stage? With your research, with your learning, did you learn anything about Washington Park or the history there, or, anything that, we might not necessarily know about as you were kind of building towards the initial concepts?
Yes, I learned quite a lot. So one of the first initiatives was recommended by Doug. We had a lot of inspiration from local artist David Ramey. So I took a lot of his work into consideration when working on the design concept for the mural, and also just researching the previous parks that were built in the community prior to this current pool, Washington Park pool. So I learned a lot about Dreamland Recreation Center, which I took a lot of inspiration from, as well as the Royal Gardens pool. So it was a huge learning experience for me, and I know how important the research is when it comes to making projects like this. So that was uh, one of the most meaningful aspects of the creation process of this project.
Cool. Could you elaborate a little more on like what Dreamland and the Royal, the gardens and everything, what that was kind of back in the day, just to give some context to people?
Sure. Dreamland Recreation Center. I wish I had some of the copy in front of me, but just I guess a quick spark notes was just that. It was a recreation center. If I remember correctly, it was placed somewhere, maybe by the YMCA, where the YMCA is now, and Royal Gardens was where the current pool is. So it was a huge development, especially for Black culture in Virginia. It was one of the only uh, parks that was available at that time. I'm trying to remember what I think it was the 60s, if I'm not mistaken. But just knowing that that development was there was hugely inspirational to uh, the mural itself. So yeah.
Yeah. You even spoke to some like local librarians or historians, didn't you, in the process?
Yes. Um, her name is escaping me right now. And
Was it, was it Megan Mizak at
yes,
the Gainsborough Library? Yeah.
Megan Mizak. Yes. She was pivotal in the research process. She had everything organized, ready, and in order as far as the copy that was necessary for me to read through. It made it really easy for me to just learn the history of the project that I was getting ready to work on. So and it also was complete with um commentary from local residents who lived in the area at that time and who were able to attend Dreamland Recreation Center and the Royal Gardens. And it gave in-depth analysis and just report on their experience. So it's very helpful. Yeah.
That, that's so cool, man. And to complement that as well, a lot of people may not necessarily know that, behind the scenes there was also a lot of groundwork that was laid before these artists even were presented with the project in terms of identifying color palettes and outreach to the community and what might be suggested. I think that they even, Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, this went out to different schools to see what type of colors were they wanted to explore. Is that correct?
Yeah, so Robin has been working with us as an artist in residence on the Eureka Recreation Project. So we had a lot of conversations around that project, particularly with youth around color. And that was like a great entry point just to start conversations and kind of talk about like what colors they're drawn to, how those colors make them feel, that sort of thing. So, um, so that kind of exercise had originally started when we were talking about Eureka, but obviously, very close by, a lot of overlap in terms of, the community and the kids that will currently or will use the rec center and, use the pool. So, um, yeah, and I felt like one of the kind of themes that seemed to come out of that was, I mean, it was always bright colors, a lot of color, but like there was kind of this like I felt like a lot of people were drawn to this very like beachy, almost tropical, like these teals and blues and things that felt like, you're kind of relaxing somewhere on a beach was the vibe that it had to me, with some like pops of pink and orange and contrasting colors like that. But a lot of like really like still very fun and vibrant, but like calming, like blue greens, like that kind of stuff. So it felt like a natural fit in, starting the discussion for this mural to pull some of those ideas about color. And I mean, really the overarching theme for both the projects has just been like color and lots of it, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so much, and that's the type of stuff I love kind of gearing conversation towards is, how much thought goes into these things. We look at these murals and a lot of people, and I hear it all the time because it's what I do. You hear a lot of, I can't wait till the I can see the finished product. You hear that all the time. But it's just as important, or probably more important, all of the thought that goes behind it, because that's the creativity. And Katrina, let me pull you in on this next quick question. Were there any other ideas or concepts or things you had originally thought about exploring, after getting involved in some of this research, that you thought, hey, this would be a cool idea that maybe you didn't go with, but that was entertained?
Yeah, there were quite a few little things running through my head. I was thinking about a picnic theme, thinking about Dreamland. Dreamland was very much community oriented. So wanting to pay homage to those who celebrated, during those times, even with the dance halls during that time, celebrating the dance hall and the pool itself and just people gathering. So yeah, there were concepts that I was, teeter-tottering on, but when this particular concept was presented, I just thought that it was very fitting because Brandon also highlighted, one of the divers on the back end of the mural. If you could see it, you could see it as you come into Orange Avenue off the highway. You drive into that particular picture of a guy diving off of the board. So I still think that it was great representation of those times and just celebration of people.
That was from an original photo, correct? I
Yes,
think.
it was.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So, okay, well, cool. I kind of thinking about some other things. Walk us through a little bit more of the community outreach you guys did, at the beginning before paint even went on a wall. I think you guys did some stuff at some events maybe locally.
Yeah, we set up at an event at the Gainsborough Library, and you can kick. I do not recall the name of that event at that time, but yes, we did set up. We had some coloring pages out there, crayons, markers. It was great. It was great. Very great interactions with people. People, stopped by and paint, colored on the pictures, and they were excited to, just for the thought that we were going to host a paint, do that painting there, do that mural there. So a lot of people were excited. Yeah, we did some really great outreach, even going to the Gainsborough Library and talking to people. Having like one-on-one conversations with some of the people from the Friends of Washington Park who, are working to preserve that home, the cottage. So yeah, we had various different types of interactions with people that helped us to get this together and put it all in, make it one piece. So yeah.
I think you just answered like three of my questions there. Uh,
Got to get it out the way.
yeah, yeah. So, another quick question. So, were there any like interesting stories, from the community or interactions you had, during that kind of building process, if we want to call it that? I'd love to hear. I don't know too much about, many of those conversations on the ground that you might have had prior to painting. So, yeah, is there anything you want to share with the group?
Yeah, I feel like I gained several different perspectives from that experience, when that place, I feel like it was rooted in several different things. I feel like there was some trauma and there was some happy times for other people. I guess it was all just based on everyone else, what their experiences was during those times. But for the most part, it was happy. A lot of people enjoyed having that pool in the community, and then having one now, something local to the community was what people were looking forward to, and the mural just kind of made it stand out more, and just preserve the life and the and honoring the love and culture of the community. So yeah.
And Brandon, I know that, when we had talked, this conversation stands out to me a little bit. You had said you wanted to kind of celebrate the positives because there was, like Katrina said, a little bit of trauma as well with the history of that area. Do you want to elaborate any on that at all, or what made you kind of focus on that decision as the, primary designer here?
Um, yeah. So yes, there definitely was trauma. As beautiful as the recreation center was and the park area was, it was a complicated time to say the least, and it wasn't taken care of by the community at that time. And so it ended up becoming essentially a landfill, and people were attending the parks while that was happening. And because there wasn't that many options for the African American community at that time to enjoy that leisure, they just decided to continue going to the pool. And a lot of the research elaborated on their experience there, and it was tough. So I know that just having the pool here now and the effort and the beauty of what we're doing now makes it that much more meaningful, knowing that we worked through that time. For me, it was a very eye-opening experience just doing that research, and just there was something I had to work through creatively as well with as far as the concept is concerned, like John is alluding to. So
What would you
um,
say was kind of the biggest challenge there for you as the designer, with the background in graphic design, wrapping your head around all these different, whether it's historical, themes you could put into this, or whether it's things that are more relevant today, what was some of the bigger challenges there to navigate?
um, just identity, you know what I mean? And just rectifying like, okay, I feel the trauma, and just in listening to the stories. I wasn't there obviously, and I need to make it a priority to focus on the project now, but I definitely wanted to make a concerted effort to um honor not only what was created in Dreamland Recreation Center and Royal Gardens, but just the perseverance that's required to keep going, And uh, I think that it was evident in how the concept progressed after a while. Like there was a point where it wasn't necessarily the happiest concept, like I felt a responsibility to in a nonverbal sense communicate to the community that we've worked through this, this is what we do as African Americans. We work through these traumas. And but thankfully with everyone who was giving valid and valuable input to the concept creation, I, sort of put the focus back on what was most important, and what was most important was the community that's attending there now and the children. And I think that personally, I'm very happy with what we've come up with. I think that it's still, I don't think that it has taken away from any of the resilience that I wanted to put into the artistic concept at all. I think that if anything, it's stronger. So if, I know that's a mouthful, but
No, that's great. I love to kind of pick your brain, as the person that was behind designing the piece, and just I guess we'll talk just maybe one more question on the design before we get to the community aspect. Because I know we're on limited time. We could talk about this a long time if we wanted to, but is there any sort of like symbolism I know that you may have put into this piece within the themes or the concept? Like I noticed like it's almost like a rainbow at the top and stuff like that, to complement some of the historical references you used.
Uh, yeah, I think that at first I was trying to be very literal with the representation, with the pointing back towards Dreamland Recreation Center. But like Katrina said, I still did that with the high dive. I'm not able to send it right now with Zoom for some reason because it needs to be uploaded to Google Drive. But I sent in our group chat between you, Doug, and I, the reference from the high dive, which was where I got the inspiration from the diver on the left side of the mural. And I think just with the rainbow and um, with everyone in attendance, I just pulled inspiration from just visiting the pool and seeing people um, just enjoying it, and
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think overall, it's great to kind of I understand where that process came from. It gives a context. I think I'm not as tech savvy as some people, so we'll look at more of the images of the mural here in a second when we're done with the next few questions. But yeah, to complement your design process that we just learned about, Katrina, one of the reasons I think that we immediately thought of you was your ability to interact and engage with, the community and work alongside them in like community painting days. Um, I know you have done this along the greenways as well prior to this, but how was this one different, or what were some things that really stand out to you from the actual painting days on this particular project?
What stands out the most is like family participation. It was like the volunteers were very important, don't get me wrong, but having, the support of our families, like Miss Daniela was there. Um, Brandon's brother, my parents, my sisters came. Just having that support with through family helped strengthen the overall. Now, am I answering your question right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I mean that's a better answer than I could have hoped for. That this was deeper than even just the community. It became family
Mhm.
helping as well. I knew some of that. I didn't know all of that. I didn't know your parents came out too. That's awesome. Uh,
Yeah, and then my friend Logan, my coworker, she's on the call. Logan came out, and she's like the silent assassin. She just comes out of nowhere. I didn't even know she signed up. And then Rachel Land, and then my friend Jane, like everybody just showed up, and it just made me want to get it done. It gave me strength, it gave me power, and I appreciate those who just showed up, and it made it all come together because it's all about community. At the end of the day, the whole project is about community and bringing people together. And I feel like that's what my experience has shown me from the beginning of starting murals with the racism now mural up until now. Everything has just been heavily it's been a heavily involvement of family and community and friendships. So
yeah. I mean, but that is kind of the crux of what we want these projects to be. You know, we want them to
Mhm.
be engaging, not just, like I said, the final product. We want it to feel like, okay, this has engaged friends, family, community, people in this room, people on this call. I think that's amazing. So, you've worked on 4 or 5 different projects so far, public art projects. What's a takeaway you have from this particular one in terms of maybe a challenge that you faced or a hurdle you overcame? I know this was your first kind of collaboration with another artist, and Brandon was so willing, as being new to the murals, to be a part of this. What was a challenge that may have came your way that you guys had to navigate?
I feel like having an alternative plan, you know, we were well, initially, we started doing something like the process. We started with a grid, but the grid wasn't really working for us. We had Brandon had a projector, you know, so we got together like, hey, we're sketching this out. It's not really working out. So we met one night with the projector and just, we sketched out the whole thing, which would have been a lot faster than trying to do the grid. So it worked out. I feel like that was just having an alternative path, not just leaning into one thing, but always having an option available. So if one thing doesn't work out, you can move on to the next thing. I feel like that was the biggest takeaway, is always having another plan.
Sure. And I guess, and I'll just leave this, maybe we'll make this our last question since we're on limited time. And this is open to both you guys. If Katrina, you want to answer first, then Brandon afterwards, before we take questions and open it up to everybody else. So as you kind of look back on this, was there any advice you would try to give to a muralist, whether they're in Northwest or another part of the city, if they're trying to lead their own community project? Engagement project that you would like to give to them or impart upon them, prior to a potential new project?
Honestly, I feel like community engagement is important. I feel like no one should go into a community without speaking to the people. I feel like the people they're they are the ones who see the artwork in that community more than, if depending on where the vicinity of where they live, they are the ones who's seeing this work every day. So I feel like, or are they may have grew up in these neighborhoods, or the history there is important. I feel like history is important, especially when you are going into communities to do artwork, and from there, people telling you stories about where they came from, why, it's not just putting all these things together, putting together the puzzle pieces to make it one cohesive piece, but also just honoring those who came before us, who had things going on, and created a life in these neighborhoods. So um yeah, I think it's important to have conversations and talk to people, no matter where it is.
It's amazing. Brandon, any advice you'd give to future artists engaged in a project like this?
Um, not anything much different from what Katrina said. I think that, I took the attitude of someone who hasn't been out here very long. So prioritizing the history was very important to me because I didn't want to just come in from, as an outside source and just assume that I knew what was going on. And also, I think that, like Katrina said, engaging the community, sometimes you may not necessarily be good with words and doing all the interviews and gathering all the information with everyone, but just being in the community uh, as yourself and just opening your eyes and listening can go a very long way into what you end up creating. So, yeah.
Well, thank you guys for all your efforts. I know it was a long road, and Brandon, being your first mural, that's also with a child and one on the way, and now two children. You've gone through a lot for this project. So thank you guys so much. I'm gonna clap right now, right here from my kitchen for you right now. You guys crushed it. Let me go ahead and just pull up a few images of the mural, and then we can open up to some questions. Let me pop up my screen. So I know you guys have been discussing these mural images that I'm about to put up. Okay, here we go. Okay, and here's a nice little angle as well of kind of the diver that you had talked about, Brandon and Katrina, as well. So a lot went into this, more than just paint on a wall, more than just the finished product. But yes, if anybody has any questions you'd like to ask Brandon and Katrina, now is the time. The floor is open. Go for it.
I've got one question, maybe for Jessica, since she's still on the call. And Jessica oversees the pools and the pool operations, and want to see if she has any thoughts on if she's heard anything from the community, or how she sees the mural.
I haven't heard anything just because we're closed now and summer kind of petered out. I know people were excited about it and there was chatter about it, but now I think reopening come next early summer, that's when we're really going to hear a lot about it. I didn't know a whole lot. I didn't know what the design was going to be. I didn't know what the colors were going to be until everybody started. So it's kind of a surprise to me too. And a lot of the questions were answered that I would have asked regarding kind of like Dreamland and the history and what was, were there any of those things that were put into it that maybe are kind of like hidden symbolism? But I think we touched on the rainbow and then the diver. So it was really cool finding out that stuff behind it. And even people in that community may not fully understand, but that's okay. The ones that do get it. And it kind of, leaves that lasting legacy of the history and the growth and what we're trying to achieve.
Thanks, Jessica.
What do the colors on the rainbow represent? I see they're not the typical Roy G. Biv colors. At least that's what
In the photo.
it seems in the photo. But on the one side, it looks pretty dark, and the other side has some more color to it. What were the thoughts behind that?
Well, I can only speak from my perspective and how it makes me feel. I think it's still, to me, it's just like togetherness. I feel like you see the people in the pool and you have this rainbow. It's a spectrum of all types of people, all different personalities. So I think that everything that we did not, we weren't able to put all types of people in this mural, but it still represents unity to me, togetherness. But I will let, Brandon, speak from his perspective, and, as he designed this as well. So, yeah.
I would agree with that. I think that it definitely represents unity, diversity, and originally I had the I'm sorry, the usual rainbow that you would see, but I just took this approach in consideration of just trying to make something that isn't uh, necessarily the same, something unique, and still have that vibrancy that you can see when you're just going to attend a pool, you know. So that's as far as the like if there's any hidden meaning behind it, it's just unity, you know. So yeah.
I'm curious to hear more about what it was like to work collaboratively. Like I have worked on projects with other people versus like just myself. And the process is so different. And I would love to hear more from both of you about like what that was like, if there was anything challenging about that, or does it inspire you to do more collaborations in the future, either with each other or with other people?
Brandon, do you want to answer first? Well,
Collaboration
mm-hmm. How was it for you?
for me, um, I felt like it was amazing. This is like my first, as everyone knows, it's my first mural, and so uh, the way the volunteers came out and just working with Katrina, um, that was challenging for us. Just as leaders and trying to get the mural done. But I think we sort of learned each other's tendencies, and like when one of us was like on low energy to keep the volunteers going, the other one just hopped in just seamlessly. Like a lot of our like every collaboration is going to be different, but I feel like a lot of Katrina and I's, aside from the logistics, was very nonverbal in the way that we engaged with, trying to get the mural done. And so I think we just felt each other out where we were at and played our roles as needed. I don't know if that's like a good answer,
That's
but
a great answer. Because we, like you said, we are both like nonverbal. Like Brandon and I are quiet people by nature. So, like, I mean, we just, we spoke, like he said, when one was, low on energy, like the other picked up. So it wasn't hard. I will say it wasn't hard. It was just the logistics part of it. But that's not like it did not affect us to the point where we couldn't collaborate and work together. Even with the volunteers, it did become overwhelming because there were times where we didn't even have anything for the volunteers to do yet, but they showed up and they still like jumped in for the process of even getting it. Rachel Ann, you were there. So I'm like,
Yeah.
you saw how like we didn't have, everything prepared in that time, but we still remained calm. We even had mornings where we would pray before we got started. And that was presented to me by Brandon. I'm just like ready to go. But he was like, let's take a beat and let's pray, you know, and we were both on the same page, and I think that's what helped. But I feel like I didn't know Brandon before this project. We didn't know each other, so to be in a collaborative project with him, it was kind of like it's kind of shocking because you can't assume that you're going to get along with every artist that you collaborate with, but it just worked out the way it was divinely supposed to, I guess.
It turned out so good. It looks so great. I love it.
Thank you.
Do you happen to have the sketches that were projected? Can you show those?
I don't have those personally on my saved images right now, but I'm sure Doug could attach those to the recording and when this goes out. Doug, I'm gonna go ahead and exit the share on my screen, but if you want to share anything, um, feel free.
Yeah, share yours. I might be able to pull one up and show in the room here.
But yeah, the interesting thing behind this, at least for me, with working with both artists, was this was a collaborative effort between, two people that have very, very different styles, very, very different approaches. And so to be able to unify the two of them was interesting. I know there was a lot of hurdles in terms of like schedules and finding that kind of perfect blend. But in the end, after meeting with Brandon a few times, I think he gradually narrowed down what he was trying to say and how he was trying to represent that wall to today's community. So Like Rachel Ann said, I think this turned out really nice, especially for a project where there was so much depth involved, that people don't even know about, have no idea about. So that's why we do, calls like this to give us some context, so that the artist can really be celebrated more than just the final product.
The fact that y'all didn't know each other before the project and it turned out that good is so crazy to me. Like, it's awesome.
I mean, you didn't say this exactly, but I understand. My understanding is that the volunteers were doing the painting, right? You didn't actually say that.
They did some of it.
They did some of it. As an artist, we're used to working ourselves. What do you feel like when someone else, do you want to grab their hand or you want to tell them what to do? How much detail do you give them?
Honestly, it was minimal detail. Hey, you have this block of color right here. Can you paint this part of it? And then, hey, if you spill some paint, if you splash some paint, if whatever, we always, for us, we went back and we had to do some covers, but
Did you do all the mixing?
we actually
You,
both
you
did.
provided the color?
We did a little bit of mixing, but not too much because the palette that we had, we were able to get, Sharon Williams to narrow down those colors. So we didn't have to do a whole lot of painting, but color mixing, but when we did, it was minimal. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Listen, well, we got a couple volunteers here. We heard a little from Rachel Ann. Jane, you were out there really, I mean, you spent a whole weekend out there, I think, on that one weekend.
Yep. I went because I love Katrina and I like to support whatever she's doing. And we are both silent workers and we take turns playing music and can just jam all day. It's so cool. And we had a meeting later one of the days with the Washington Park, Friends of Washington Park. And some of those folks wandered over and painted with us. And that gave a little bit of impetus to jam about the soundtrack to the scroll that's in the works for the Washington Park. And we were doing some humming and vocalization and stuff. And the other big incentive was I was bound and determined to get in that pool this year. And so Katrina and I did, and it was freezing.
Oh,
But it was so fun. I'm glad we did it.
yeah.
Yeah, we had some good
got,
times.
yeah.
I'm curious about what material that she used to sketch with, and I think I saw in one of the photos, it looks like chalk, so am I seeing chalk there or something different?
You are seeing chalk. That was heavily involved in the sketching process. Although it was kind of difficult to kind of get that chalk off afterwards in certain spots. So that kind of took me back to the drawing board because not saying I know everything because I'm still fresh. I feel like I'm still fresh at murals. So everything is an experience of learning to me. So when we did the chalk, I did notice that, we had to do some cover ups and we had to also do a lot of wiping to get some of that chalk, off. It was not easily removed. But that was the sketching bit with the chalk. That was our source of getting that mural concept onto the wall.
All right. If I could add to that,
Mhm.
that's the chalk drawings that you see there is the grid that Katrina was referencing earlier. That helped us, especially in the beginning of the process, to correctly place all the elements where they needed to be, just as just to have a marker there. But yeah, we had to navigate that. Again, we had to eventually we realized like, okay, this isn't working out exactly as we planned, so we just ended up using the projector, and just refining the details afterwards. So yeah.
Well, Doug or Katie, do you guys want to say any last words? That was, unless there's any other questions, I'd say that that's a pretty good synopsis of the project.
Yeah, I'll watch Katie. Katie just came off of mute. Katie?
I was just gonna say thank you again to everyone for making this project happen.
Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing, and especially, you know, this is my bias. I really only build relationships by getting in on a project with somebody, and my closest friends are people that I've like worked on a project with. And I know that you didn't know each other when we kind of matched you up on this and kind of posed this idea. And the idea was that you would dig in there, get to know each other, learn about each other, and it's never um, that's you learn each other by experiencing each other, and everybody's got their own habits, and I know I have my quirks, and I hope that you really did enjoy it in the end. And I hope that a number of years from now you'll turn around and go, wow, remember that, remember years ago how we got to know each other in that project. And that happens by volunteering on projects together, and all the ways that we are building this learning community in Roanoke through the arts. We hope that the volunteers who came might have gotten to know each other, or know themselves a little differently, know their neighbor a little bit differently, and that's just what we want to keep building. So the two of you artists, and then John as well in your coaching role, you'll have some feedback for me too, and for us as we continue to build these kind of projects, what we should do next time, ways we can make this either smoother or yeah, and feel free that after this call, next time I see you, give me other feedback that way, and because we want to keep doing these things and learning and growing together. And with that, if there's nothing else, I think that's it. We can stay and linger and chat a little bit longer, less formally. We'll probably end the recording. And does anybody else have anything else? If not, one big other round of applause for our artists and the project and the team that helped make it happen. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much,
Thank
guys.
you all.
If you want to come back when it's not freezing cold in the water, please let me know. We will make sure it happens.
It's invigorating.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
On Tuesday night.
It is fun, especially if you haven't gotten to go down the slide.
Good, great. Everybody take care. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, I appreciate you all.
Good night. Thank you all.
Hey, night.
I think the recording is still.
Yeah, let's see here.